Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here. Welcome, everybody. What we're going to be talking about here is business agility. And you heard during the keynote talk yesterday that business agility is one of the areas of focus. It's what Scaled Agile is moving towards, is not just thinking about technology, not just thinking about how we build software better, but what it really means to become an agile organization and how we really solve problems, not just technology problems, but business problems. So what we're going to talk about is why this is important, what it means, what business agility means. We're going to touch on what value stream management is and moving the focus to delivery of value. And then we're going to give you some practical examples of how to actually structure business teams into Agile release trains, right? So the big takeaway that I want you to have from this talk is that it is possible to use SAFe outside of technology. It is possible to use SAFe in your business and your operations organizations who are building things that are things other than software. We're also going to talk about how those business and operational teams integrate with development teams building software, building hardware, and into other development value streams. Okay? So this is the big takeaway, that what we want is business agility, and business agility means that an organization has the ability to sense and respond quickly and effectively when opportunities arrive, or when risks arise, or when there's big changes in the market or the conditions that we're operating in, right? And business agility requires not just the ability to rapidly deliver software or rapidly deliver hardware. It means that we can rapidly figure out what's going on in the market, respond to that, and deliver business solutions. Most of those business solutions involve technology, but not all of them do. And that's what we're going to be exploring here. So when we're talking about business agility, right, it involves all parts of the organization that go into delivering customer value. And when we think about delivering customer value, that's development value streams. Those are portfolios of development value streams using SAFe, organized into Agile release trains, large solution trains. But it's also our operational value streams, right? And when we talk about business agility, it means that we need to have agility in both our development value streams and our operational value streams. And one of the things that happens in a lot of organizations, especially if it's an organization that's doing a technology-driven SAFe transformation, is you're really only looking at your development value streams. You're really only looking at your technology value streams, and there's a whole big chunk of the organization that's not involved in the transformation. So here we're talking about sales, marketing, consulting, your public relations parts of your organization, and so on, right? We can't list everything that's involved in every one of your organization's operational value streams. Your companies have some unique things that you're doing. But we're largely going to be talking about, in this talk, marketing, sales, finance. Those are the ones that are really meaty, often involved, and that we're seeing a high level of adoption today across the industry. Okay? So just kind of a show of hands here. I assume everybody here is in an organization that's implementing SAFe or implementing Agile at some reason, at some level, right? So how many of you are in organizations that only have technology teams implementing SAFe? Yeah, so at least half of folks, and it's really common. That's where it started, right? That's what Agile's focused on. That's what SAFe is focused on. But as we start to adopt Agile, right, what we find is the bottlenecks change, right? The bottleneck moves from, well, we have an inefficient development organization, or we're not great at building software, or we're not great at building quality in or DevOps in, right? And as we solve those problems, what happens is the bottleneck starts to shift to other parts of the organization, and it becomes not how rapidly can we develop solutions, it's how rapidly can we innovate and prioritize and decide what we're going to work on, or how rapidly can we actually get something into the market. And when we're talking about really big, really complex products and organizations, getting things into the market doesn't just involve what we traditionally think of as DevOps, right? It's not just how quickly we can build the software and release it. It is that if you're building something like a website or a mobile app and you can push it out to your customers directly, but when we talk about really large organizations, Fortune 500 companies that are building all sorts of diverse products across a wide range of industries, right? The things that we need to do is get it out into the hands of our customers. And if we're building complex cyber physical systems, we're building complex products that you can't just turn over to a customer and they start using it, or they're not going to figure it out on their own, right? It's things that we need to build marketing campaigns around, things that we need to build training material for, things that we have to enable our sales staff and our professional services staff to go out and get it into the hands of our customers, right? So when we think about business agility, done doesn't mean that it's in production and it's released if our customers can't actually use it because they don't know how to use it or they don't have access to it, right? So we need to think about those other parts of the organizations that are involved in what it takes to bring things to the market, right? And I suspect lots of you are from companies that have this kind of problem. The other thing that we need to think about here is that a lot of those organizations that are taking things to the market aren't focused on a specific product, right? And one of the things that often happens in organizations is we have an inside-out view of our organizations, right? We think about how our organization is structured. We think about doing value stream identification and how do we organize people and how do we organize trains around our products and how we build those products. But from your customer's perspective, they don't care how you build your products. They don't care how you're structured. They don't care what your Agile release trains looks like. They have a problem. They want to solve their problem with your product. And when I say customers, I believe in customer centricity. Customers are internal customers, external customers, right? This can fit for whether you're building complex products and putting them in the market, which is primarily what we're talking about here, but it also fits for if you're building things for internal customers, right? So what they care about is solving their problems. And when we talk about things like marketing and sales, right, the perspective of the customer on marketing and sales often isn't a product by product view of things, right? When I think about the services that I get from my bank, I don't go through and think about individual separate products and their mobile app and their website and the customer support I get. I think about the experience I have with my bank. And if I like the experience, I'm going to keep using them. And if I don't like the experience, I'm going to go and work with somebody else. Same thing, right? When you think about Apple or Samsung, you think about the brand, right? And for big organizations, the marketing organization is often marketing the company. It's marketing the brand, right? We might be doing some product level marketing, and we'll talk about how we integrate product level marketing into business agility trains and into large solution trains. But sometimes we're marketing and selling everything, right? So if you think about it in your organization, do you have parts of the organization that are focused on marketing or selling more than one product? How many, show of hands, how many people here have a part of your organization that is out there marketing or selling more than one product, right? Yeah, you're all, lots of companies are doing that, very, very common. So what becomes the challenge there is how do you get those parts of the organization that are cross-cutting and selling products across what are potentially multiple Agile release trains, multiple value streams, maybe even multiple development portfolios aligned to working in an Agile way. And the reality is most organizations haven't done this or really struggle with it, right? So we're going to give you some ideas for how we can get those folks working in an Agile fashion. So what's the problem? What are we trying to solve here? So the common problem here that we face is we go through, we develop things in an Agile fashion. We've gone through our PIs. We've built a high quality product. It's releasable and it's done. It's ready. It might even be in production, but then a whole bunch of other things happen, right? And a bunch of things that happen after code is complete or after it's in production. It's like, hey, it's there, it could be used, but it's not being used because we haven't marketed it yet, we haven't sold it yet. And we often will see things that cause long delays. Some of the customers that I've worked with have things that happen after code is complete that take 3 months or 6 months or a year to complete, right? And I see some heads nodding. Other people have experienced this, right? This happens, right? And what's often happening there is, well, we have our technology group working with SAFe and working very rapidly, but then we have these other parts of the organization that are still using a longer cycle planning horizon. They're doing things in a waterfall way or in a traditional way or in an ad hoc way. Or we don't have them involved in the process and we're just not communicating with them. And it's like, oh, it's a surprise. Like, hey, we're done, now start marketing it. We're done, now start selling it. So we have that friction between different parts of the organization working in different ways. And anytime we have different parts of the organization working in different ways, it slows the process down, right? So if you've rolled SAFe out to development value streams, but you haven't implemented lean portfolio management, and your finance folks and your business leaders are still planning things in a waterfall way, that's going to cause slowdowns. You're not going to be as fast, you're not going to be as agile, you're not going to have business agility. Similarly, on the back end, if we don't have our marketing and sales and operation and support parts of the organization working in an agile way, it's also going to be delays, right? So our concept of creating flow through the system, any inefficiency in your system, any friction or lack of alignment is going to manifest itself as a delay, right? And delays mean it's inhibiting your business agility. So we want to be able to move faster. And we do that by getting everybody sharing the same lean agile mindset. We get everybody using the same SAFe cadence, regardless of the kind of work that we're doing. Okay? So that's the problem. The solution is, well, let's get those parts of the organization on the train. Let's get the marketing and sales folks using SAFe, using Agile, right? This is a very standard part of SAFe, right? That we say, hey, we've got marketing people or sales people. Let's get them integrated as part of the Agile release train. Let's get them focused on what we're building. And this arrangement works, right? It can either be a large solution train, it can be an Agile release train where we have the marketing people, the sales people, operations represented on the train. Either as kind of the whole team that's supporting things or representatives. But this works when we're doing product level marketing or sales or operations, right? So if we can identify, if we can go through our value stream identification and we can say, hey, there's 4 people or 5 people in the marketing department that are focused on this product, on this large solution train, well, obviously, we should get them on the train, just like we should get them all in. How many folks here are working in organizations that have that level of business engagement on your trains? tiny, tiny number of hands, right? So, so we have a few that are doing that, but that's our first step for business agility, right? So do that value stream identification, identify the people that can do that. And that's, right, that's what Safe for Marketing is built around. That's what you learn in leading Safe, you learn in implementing Safe, identify everybody that's involved in the value stream and get them on a train. But what if we have those parts of the organization that are supporting multiple products, right? So a bunch of your hands went up when I asked how many people have parts of the organization that are selling or marketing more than one product, and a whole bunch of your hands went up, right? So those folks, it's probably gonna be more than 4 or 5 folks. It's not gonna be a single team. And depending on how many products they're supporting, it might involve supporting a whole bunch of different products. And if we're talking about a corporate marketing group or a corporate sales group, it could be dozens, hundreds, thousands of products that they're bundling up and presenting as a common view to the customer, okay? So when we think about that, we're now starting to talk about things that are much bigger and much more complicated, right? So the example that I just gave you was a solution train that has business people on it and operations folks on it, but the title of the talk wasn't solution trains with business people on it, right? It was business agility trains. So when we talk about bigger organizations, what we often have are big, complex development streams that are supporting particular operational value streams and are not just creating software that's going to enable or support operations in the value stream. We're actually making changes that are significant enough that it's going to change the way the operational value stream works, right? So if we make a major new system enhancement, we roll out a major new system, right? We're doing it in order to make our customers' lives better, our business people more efficient at delivering their job. So we may be actually changing that operational value stream, right? Are people always happy when you roll out a new piece of software that makes them change the way that they work? But it's progress. Why wouldn't they be happy? Well, you're changing the way they work, right? They're comfortable with the way they work, even if that way of working might be inefficient, old, outdated, and we're enhancing it, right? So if we're changing the way that they work, well, we need to do work to prepare them for that. We need to do the work to train them. We need to get them involved. We need to let them know that it's happening. So that's one concept with how your development value stream interacts with your operational value stream. The other is we may need that operational value stream to actually complete the development work. So one of the things that I often hear people talk about is development as if it only applies to software development, right? And developers develop software, or hardware engineers develop hardware. But when we're talking about rolling out big complex products, when we're talking about rolling out things that are going to change the way people work, or that we need professional services to go out and implement for our customers, well, there's a whole bunch of development that's happening in a development value stream that's not done by anybody in technology, right? It's the people creating the marketing material. It's the people creating the training material. It's the people doing the training and the organizational change management and those sorts of things. That's creative work. That's development. We're taking time and energy to build things, and we often have a lot of people involved in doing that. Okay? So when we talk about really big complex organizations where that it's more than a couple people or it's more than a single team supporting a single product, what we may well have is an entire Agile release train or an entire set of Agile release trains that are focused on building those business agility aspects of things, right? So I've worked with a number of different organizations that have marketing departments that have hundreds or thousands of people in them, right? And we can't take all of those people and assign them to Agile release trains focused on specific products because they're not focused on specific products. They're out there doing marketing events and building marketing material and writing white papers and doing research and all sorts of things like that. So one thing that I want you to think about here is, why is it so hard to get those business folks, those operational folks, to get involved in the SAFe transformation or to adopt the lean agile mindset? Well, part of the reason is because every time we talk about development value streams, it sounds like we're just talking about software, or it just talks about how the business people support developing the software, right? So if we really want business agility to take hold, we need to change that dialogue, and we need to get people thinking that, hey, we're developers too, and we're developing something of value that's getting consumed either internally or externally, and SAFe and Agile are really good at building things, not just software, but really anything. So changing the language, changing the conversation, so we're getting people excited about joining the transformation and that they see that their role is there, and their role is not just there supporting the development value streams. And I'll encourage you to think about creating Agile release trains that are purely focused on building or supporting business operations, right? Because if we don't do that, there's huge swaths of our company that are never going to be part of the Agile transformation and never think about things. Okay? So our goal here when we're talking about creating a brand level or an organizational level solution is presenting that common appearance, that common goal, right? That we're packaging everything up into something that's solving our business problems, not just marketing or selling or supporting individual products. And so when we do this, the level of coordination really starts to go up, and we have more parts of the organization that have to work together. So this is a variation of an image that you may have seen. It's used in some of the SAFe guidance articles, some of the SAFe training. And at the LPM level, there's a function for coordinating across value streams, right? So here we're talking about multiple value streams, creating multiple different products that we need coordination in order to market, sell, support them. Okay? So this is what LPM is aligned to, or what the APMO is aligned to, or the term that I like to use, VMO, Value Management Office, right? And the Value Management Office is really focused on what's the value we're delivering to the customer, how are we packaging all of this up, and getting it out into the market to actually solve things. So what you may end up having is a business agility art that has these business parts of the organization or the operational parts of the organization that are coordinating across multiple different value streams, right? So, and in this example, right, these might be large solution trains or Agile release trains, each delivering their own individual products, and then we're organizing the people into the Agile release train. So this is kind of an alternative to the solution that I showed earlier, which was a large solution train with the marketing people or the operations people on the art, right? And here we're giving you an example of a scale that is much larger, and worked with a couple large organizations, one of whom's represented here in the room, that getting things out to the customer involved hundreds or thousands of consultants, involved large operational groups, large training groups that needed to coordinate their own work to consume what was coming out of the Agile release train along with others. Worked with another large medical device manufacturer that was also very similar. They had hardware and software engineers that had to work together on a large solution train to develop the product. They also had product marketing people that were marketing and selling that particular medical device, but that which was a breathing respiratory therapy device, but that particular device was part of an entire range of respiratory devices that were created by that organization. And there were marketing and sales people that were selling that entire product line, which was itself part of a larger overall medical device line in a large global manufacturer that made 1,000 other, probably more than 1,000 other consumer goods and manufacturing goods. So when we're talking about coordinating across those, we may have, and you may find it is the optimal way of organizing things to get that business agility art with business folks, pulling together the value that's being created across multiple products into a common view. Yeah? In really big organizations, we can expand this even further. And sometimes these marketing groups are actually working across portfolios, right? So it's not just, hey, how do we package up all of the like medical devices? It's how do we do the branding across our entire healthcare portfolio? How do we do the branding across our combined healthcare and consumer goods and reinforce a brand that way, right? So when you think about these parts of your organization, and those of you that put your hands up around, hey, we've got parts of the marketing organization, we see this really commonly in corporate marketing organizations. They're marketing the entire corporation, so we need to coordinate across the value streams. This is not something that we normally think about in SAFe, right? What role coordinates across value streams in multiple portfolios? Like, well, it falls under the VMO because it's that coordination across value streams. And when we think about this, what we're really doing here is connecting our operational value streams to our development value streams, right? So our portfolios, our development value streams, we organize into portfolios. Definition of a portfolio is a collection of development value streams. That's an inside-out view of the organization. What we're putting on top of it is the operational value stream, which is presenting the common front end, the common vision to the rest of the market. Okay? So how do we do this? How do we fill the seats on the agility train, right? So we can talk about, well, we want to get these folks together, but how do we actually organize business people, operational people into Agile release trains, right? You may have only had experience really doing this across a technology organization. So how do we figure out who they are and what they need to do? Launching a business agility train is very similar to launching a development value stream, right? We're going to do the exact same things, but we're going to do it with a different group of people, and we're going to do it with some different examples and working on different things. So first thing we need to do is map the entire value stream. We're going to identify what kinds of work are being done, right? And we have a really good way, we're really good at only thinking about the technology work being done. So we need to really expand our thinking and drill down into what other kind of work is being done. We then figure out the optimal way to organize those trains, right? Are we going to embed the business people on an art? Or are we going to put them on their own art and then provide the coaching and the training? So this is the same implementation roadmap that we use for launching any development value stream. Why is that? Because this is just another development value stream. It's just that we're developing something that isn't software. So we're going to map the full value stream. Value stream identification is a really important thing in our SAFe transformation, getting teams organized correctly. In my experience, this is one of the most frequently skipped steps. Lots of organizations that kind of just, that whole organizing around value is really hard. Why don't we just keep things in the same organizational structure that we have and let's go. Or if we do say, yeah, we're gonna organize around value, but we only have technology leaders on board, so we're just gonna do the value stream identification within technology, right? So what we ended up with is a snapshot of part of the value stream, and it's often really hard to get the full value stream. You often have to get in leaders from other parts of the organization. One example here is working with a customer. I'd been in with them, embedded with them for about a year and a half. And we said, you know what, be a really good time to do another value stream identification workshop. Maybe we can get some business people involved and expand this. And we did another round of value stream identification with a different group of people. And I discovered an entire part of the organization that was involved that I had never heard of. I'd been there for a year and a half. Nobody had ever mentioned one part of the consulting organization that played a role in delivering value to the customer. So one thing that I'll get you to think about is if you've only done value stream identification once within a value stream, you missed something. I guarantee it. Do it again. Do it with a different group of people. And then get on a regular cadence of doing that. Do it again 6 months later, do it again a year later. You will continue to discover things. One thing that's really good for doing this is the DevOps class. You have a pretty detailed value stream mapping and optimization workshop built into the DevOps class. Our business folks love DevOps classes. Everybody hears it and it's like, that sounds really technical. I don't want to go to it. And then the people that are most excited about it are the business folks and the marketing folks. And it'll open all sorts of eyes. So you kind of kill two birds with one stone. You're educating people and you're also doing a value stream identification workshop across a really broad group of people, okay? So then what's the kind of work that we're doing? Again, I talked about this, but really stressing this. This is all work. People that are doing marketing campaigns, building training materials, creating sales presentations, going out and delivering sales. That's all work. It's all work that you can organize into the value stream. So when you do that value stream identification, we need to talk about this kind of work and we need to find the people that are doing this work because it's really important to get them involved. Okay. So that should come out naturally in your value stream identification, but it only will if you get the right people in the value stream identification. If all you have are technology leaders, you're never going to hear about this. Or you might say, oh, well, there's some training group. Like, well, let's go talk to them. Let's get them involved here. And then we launch an art, and we launch an art the same way that we launch any other art. The difference here is our teams might not have any technologists on them. They might have the people that are doing the work that we just talked about. So we're gonna organize that around value. We're gonna teach them SAFe for teams. We're gonna teach them Scrum Master, Product Owner. We're gonna get release train engineers and teach all of those classes. SAFe has the SAFe for Marketing class, really good to use if you've got marketing folks involved in it. Key here is you can't have technologists or people that only understand technology doing this coaching or training. If you try doing that and every example that you give to folks is a software example or some story about building software, they'll shut down and you will have reinforced to them that, well, Agile's just for technology groups and we're not doing that. So you may need different people, different coaches with business domain expertise, right? Find people in your organization, find coaches, consultants, whatever, that understand the business domain and have them work with these teams, or else they're not gonna have credibility, just like you couldn't take somebody that didn't understand software and try to have them coaching architects or coaching software engineers. We're going to hold the questions till the end, which is 1 minute and 10 seconds away, but you can also put it in the app. And then we apply we get them up and running, right? So we have our trains organized. We launch those trains. We run PI planning. They vote on it. They get confidence. They manage their dependencies with each other and with all of those other Agile release trains. Okay? So again, you have options here. All right, you have the option that you couldn't do, well, we'll just leave the business people off the train. We don't want to do that. One option is we can embed them in development value streams. We can embed them as team members on it. Or if you're in one of these really large organizations, we can, and you should, I'm encouraging you to, reach out to those organizations and get them thinking about organizing full-on business agility trains with the business folks on them. And that brings us to the end of the talk. Thank you everybody for your time and attention here. And we're gonna do some Q&A now.
All right, let's give Chris a big round of applause.
Thank you.
And just a reminder, you can submit your questions through the Safe Summit mobile app. Even if you're not going to ask any questions in there, it's good to get in there and upvote any questions you find valuable, because we will be displaying them based on how many votes they get. All right,
I think we had a question right up here up front.
Did you say you wanted to have a question?
Yep. So the question was, does it make more sense to be a Kanban team than a Scrum team? It might, that could be a whole nother talk, but some teams will find Kanban is a better fit, some will find Scrum is a better fit. Really depends on what they're comfortable doing and the nature of their work.
Great. And next question from the app, how do shared services teams like infrastructure fit into business agility teams and hearts?
So from an infrastructure perspective, they need to be involved, it's going to follow very much the similar pattern, right? It might make sense for you to embed those infrastructure teams or representatives as shared services on Agile release trains. It's quite likely that if you're in a big organization, you might have entire Agile release trains that are doing the development or the configuration for the infrastructure, and they may be their own whole Agile release trains that have to coordinate with the other trains that are consuming the infrastructure that they're creating.
Great. Next question is, are you proposing a separate train for business, or that business should be on the existing trains, or a combination of the two? Yeah,
I'm suggesting both depending on what the context is, right? And though the focus here was thinking about having entire Agile release trains that are focused on solving business problems. It's a viable option, but it's going to reduce your dependencies if you can have people embedded on Agile release trains if you have those discrete focused levels. So it really depends on the situation and the level of your scale.
Great. Next question. Who is the RT and product manager of business agility release trains? Do they come from business ops?
Yeah, part of doing that value stream identification and part of putting together your teams is identifying who's going to be in each role. And so who's going to fit into those particular product management or RTE roles is something you're going to have to figure out. Those folks very likely will come from the business or come from operations. You might have people that are moving from technology and have a background as an RTE and coming over to help. There's kind of no right or wrong answer there, but it's generally going to be somebody coming from the business.
Great. That's actually all the time we had for questions.
Okay.
Thanks everybody, and give Chris another round of applause.
Thank you.